to the Spot Real Talk. My name is Tiara.
I'm LaWanda.
I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Ron.
And today we are here to talk about Raising Kanan. This is season 1, episode 5. We are discussing Choose Your Battles, as it's titled. So if you guys hang tight, we'll be right back with you.
Baby, I know where the last one burned you. Know that ain't cool. Wanna show you how I'm nothing like him. Swear that's the truth. You can't trust.
All right, everyone, we are back. And like I said, we are discussing Raising Kanan. This episode, wow, lot going on.
Yeah.
And it's definitely putting us in a good power formula by episode 5, that's mid-season. Everything starts to ramp up. And so I think that we are in a good place. I like how they introduced us to the characters, how we kind of got to understand Kanan's upbringing and his family dynamics. And so right now, I think everybody kind of, gets the gist of, how things are going to go from here on out. And I mean, just to say that things have ramped up is an understatement, because I think a war is
definitely coming. And you saw my prediction came true. The parenthood, that was something I had predicted with Captain Howard. I was like, okay, he's sick. They looking for a match.
I don't know if y'all noticed the date on Kanan said for his birthday, but today is Kanan's birthday.
Yes, August 15th.
Yeah, 75.
So R.I.P. to
Yeah,
Kanan.
he didn't make it. So.
On his would-be birthday. So I think that was interesting that they set date that this episode aired.
Yeah. And shout out to one of our spotters, Dynasty, who tweeted us and said Tiffany was right. She was spot on about that.
That was a good call.
I see you.
And I think that we were all curious about Rock's relationship with Detective Howard, because it definitely seemed like it was something there. We just weren't sure what it was, like whether it was a relationship or whether they had like a previous run-in. But now we clearly see that they had, a romantic situation.
When she was like, in the very beginning, when she was like, don't talk to my son. Like the way she said, I was like,
something there.
I was like, something is not right. He said,
and so I think that especially once they brought that storyline about him needing a relative and a donor, I was like, okay, you might be on to something here.
Well, now it's going to be interesting how they work that in too, because he now at least knows he has a relative that he possibly can use. So it's going to be interesting to see how Rock handles that, So I can't wait to see that. I can't wait to see how that plays out.
Well, we seen him confront Rock towards the end of the episode, and he was kind of, why didn't you tell me about Kanan? Like he said, I always had this feeling that, maybe he could have been mine, just because of the way that the time aligned with Kanan's supposed father, Rondell Stark. He had been arrested in October of 74, and Kanan had to have been conceived in like November, December-ish. So Kanan was definitely conceived after, Rondell was up, and he wasn't getting out no time soon. And he said there were no conjugal visits or nothing. Right. So that only makes sense that, I could be his father.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead, Tiffany.
I was going to say, my son and I talked about this offline, and we were just saying, he was like, DEF CON, by her allowing people to think that Kanan was DEF CON's son, that gives them protection in the street, gave Kanan. So that's why I think she allowed that lie to go. And one of the predictions that he made was, he thought that basically she going to end up striking a deal with Howard, saying he might say, listen, I'll help you what you need. I will do whatever to protect you in the streets. but this is what I need for you to do. She might ask her to have Kanan do the bone marrow thing for him. So we'll see if it plays out like that. That was a prediction that my son had.
Another
It's gonna come up, but sorry, Ron.
go ahead.
It's gonna come up.
Go ahead.
Okay, it's gonna come up, but it's interesting to see what was the relationship back then. Was he a police officer then, or was he just some guy she knew from the neighborhood and then they grew up and went their separate ways? Because that's gonna complicate. Was he a policeman? Was she an informant? How did Rondell end up? That seems to be a theme with this show about somebody snitching and putting somebody in jail. So now I have more questions. What was going on 15 years ago?
Yes. Yeah.
The other thing too is,
I was like,
the other thing is, remember Detective Howard gave the nod to Unique in terms of one group, one mob, and he was saying, I got my money on you. But now that he sees that Kanan is
that's all out the window.
Yeah, that's all gone now. So
blood is sticking in water. That's all out the window.
I always felt like he had made that agreement too. Like he was kind of being he had ulterior motives in striking that deal. I think that he was telling Unique that he would ensure that he stays on top and basically trying to protect Rock in the process.
Well, it would be an interesting stretch to see how he protects Rock at the same time, but I don't know.
I thought that he'd just be letting her slide. Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see that because he did give him the nod. So, and Unique, he doesn't necessarily play by the ballot.
Right. And so the interesting part about that too, when Kanan had called Symphony to come and pick him up and get him out of that situation, they kind of strike an agreement that Kanan and Unique wouldn't tell Rock, and Symphony, they wouldn't tell Raquel about him getting arrested, but he would reveal if Rock ever
it's gonna be a problem.
So I thought that was interesting too, because we were speculating last week about their relationship and whether Kanan would warm up to Symphony.
Then we said that was gonna happen.
He definitely has.
We did say that. My son was like, no, and I'm like, no, he gonna end up liking Symphony. Watch.
Yeah.
But I think he really, had begun to respect Symphony with that being in the classroom with him. And it seems like Kanan likes to learn. So, he's learning this new skill about civil engineering and everything. And it, all of a sudden, I think it opened his eyes about Symphony. And, he was able to see some things he wasn't able to see until he got into that class. So I like that. I like that camaraderie that they were building up at that point. And I'm glad he did call Symphony to get him out, because that, again, Symphony said, if you need me, here's my number. And he couldn't depend on his uncles, so he calls Symphony, and Symphony does exactly what he was supposed to do. He got him out. So
Rock is gonna have a problem with that, though.
Yeah.
Rock is gonna have a problem with that because she was like, nobody gets in between my son and me. She's gonna say like, stay in lane. She's already told him that once. That's gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
But that wasn't his fault.
Well,
I mean,
Kanan is getting everybody in trouble.
yeah, but
Kanan is causing a lot of problems.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
Kanan called. But
He's
see,
not thinking
here's
of
my
this.
thing. If I were Symphony, I'd be like, your son called me, and he told me that he couldn't get in touch with your uncles. So what was I supposed to do? Leave him in jail and wait until you got around?
But he didn't say anything. He didn't say anything. That's where it's gonna be the problem. He said he promised he wasn't gonna say anything unless he was asked.
Right.
So it's going to come out now because now Captain Howard has been to see her, and so she's gonna have a conversation with Kanan like, why were you picked up, blah 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 blah, and Kanan is probably gonna end up telling him the truth. He probably gonna tell him that Symphony picked her up, and it's gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
I
mean, that's if Scrap hasn't already snitched on Kanan himself too.
Yeah,
That too.
Yeah,
that too.
Yeah, but I think she would be rather narrow-minded if she were to get on Symphony, because he was doing what she should want him to do. He couldn't get in touch with his people. He was able to get him out. If she got a
I
problem
don't
with
think
that,
the problem is about Symphony picking him up, though. The problem is in withholding the information.
yeah, but you know what?
That.
Yeah, but also she wants her son to have a relationship with Symphony. So you can't get in between. You know, at some point you got to draw your battle lines. You know, you want him to have a relationship, but then you want Symphony to tell you everything that's going on. You got to draw your line somewhere. And if I were she,
But that's the line though with Kanan. That is a parenting decision, and that is the line that's gonna cross for her.
so tell me,
Mhm.
you would get
Yeah,
upset. You would get upset.
Wanda wants to say something.
Go ahead, Lauren.
No,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ron. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Ron. You're trying to be rational about it. It's not
No,
rational.
I'm not.
This is a
No,
mother
I'm
and
not
this is
trying. No, I'm not trying to
She's
be.
just trying to
No,
keep it safe. She's
no,
being
I'm not. I'm
rational.
saying what I'm saying is, you want your son, and we've seen how she's tried to get her son to warm up to Symphony. So my point being is, I understand she wants to know first, but my point being is, you know, your son told me to keep it on the low unless you ask, and he said if she asks, I will tell her. So in my opinion, it's like saying what you don't know won't hurt you. Now, if she finds out,
I mean, except for in their game, what you don't know can hurt you.
Yes,
Yeah.
it
That's the
can.
problem.
but
Yes, it can.
y'all, I don't know.
That's it. I mean, it's like this. This is not a normal relationship. This is not a normal man dating a woman who has a teenage son. She's a drug dealer, right? And her son got picked up by other. And in this case, one that she happens to know intimately. So it's going to be that lack of being blindsided and not having that information so that she could, in her mind, control the situation. That's going to be a problem for her. And then by him not respecting what she's already told him in her line of business, she got to have situations she can control. She can't have people out here making decisions on their own. She already got Kanan out here going to the left, doing what he wants, create problems. I don't think she's going to be able to tolerate Symphony doing
Exactly.
that too.
And that's messed up on Kanan's part too, because it's like putting him in that position where he has to lie by omission, basically. That could get him off in certain situations. You know, if Rock is that kind of cold-hearted woman, and she doesn't, it's like that, no nonsense, then Symphony could really be in a dangerous situation by telling.
Did we see this preview? Did y'all see the preview? I don't think it was Symphony, but my son seemed to think it was Symphony getting beat up on in that.
Looked like him, but he had the guy that was getting beat up had a baldy. And I
told my son, I was like, that wasn't Symphony. He was like, go back and look at it again. It is Symphony. And I was like, would she do that?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I mean, she did apologize for coming out rather strong the first time. She apologized to Symphony. So I'm saying, you know,
she laid down the law after that too. And now he has crossed that line. Right.
I'm sorry. I just don't look. My thing is they're men. They're man to man. You know, you want your son to have a relationship with Symphony. This, to me, if I were she, this would be an opportunity, since nothing went down, nothing serious went down. He wasn't even really booked. Remember, because Detective Howard said, I was going to book you, but I changed my mind.
I want you, Lawanda. Look at Lawanda's face.
He wasn't booked. I'm just saying,
That's hella serious. He got picked up by the cops.
yeah, but he wasn't booked.
Exactly.
He got picked up by the police because they wanted to mess with him. And that's all that was. So I'm just saying.
They were fighting.
Well, well, you know, again, here's Kanan taking it upon himself.
And he wasn't just fighting anybody. He was
he was fighting Scrappy. So
one of her most loyal soldiers.
Yeah, but that's Kanan. Kanan takes it upon himself to jump at Scrappy, and just like Scrappy said, he came to me, and I had to, you know, I got street credit.
He had to protect his name in the streets.
Yeah,
it was public.
Exactly. So you know, that's Kanan again. If you can't control your son, there's your problem. And now you got him cooking drugs. You're gonna have another problem. Because you
Well, I
can't.
wanted to talk
if,
about that.
if you can't control
I
the
knew he was
little
gonna go
things,
there.
if you can't control the little things, I don't know what you're gonna do now.
Her and Tasha.
I mean,
Exactly.
but it seems like we've had this discussion about whether it was right for Tasha to introduce Tariq into the drugs, and so now we're having this again with Rock and Kanan.
Yeah.
And it seems that it's like it keeps coming up, like everybody's saying like Kanan was destined to be in this lifestyle because of who his parents are, who his uncles and his family are. And so it's like he said, he chose his side. He basically had this monologue where he's saying, you know, a lot of people look at me, I didn't have a choice, or this is the life I came from, but I actually chose this life. I had a
She
choice.
tried to send him to the school.
Yeah.
He blew the test. He kept told him keep away from the stash house.
He was
like
determined to be in the life.
So your way of protecting him is teaching him how to cook drugs. See, this is what I'm
I
saying.
think it was
think that was
protecting
wrong.
him. I think it was more so her saying, like, I know that I can't keep the promise of being around. And so if for some reason I die and you need a way to provide for yourself and get money, the type of lifestyle that she has him accustomed to, I'm guessing. I mean, they don't live luxuriously, but they not in the slums or nothing. So I guess she's saying this is a way for you to get money.
I think it's also she's trying to I think the way I see this now, because you know, I'm all like, what are these women doing? But I think she's like, he's gonna go do it no matter what.
That's
and the only way I can protect him is to kind of teach him a little bit here and there. I think that's what she's thinking, probably until she can do something else. Like she's trying to head him off and slow him down, because the more she denies him, he goes out and create worse and worse situations. She tells him to back down, he goes start to fight with Scrappy in the street. You know,
but the
it's
problem,
like she can't win with this kid.
the problem, just like Tasha, you want to slow him down, but at the same time, you're revving him up. You're giving him new skills to deal with, and you can't control him. So she's got to know that she can't control him. And so, you know, if you got a kid like that you can't control, and he wants to be in the street, and yet you're giving him more skill sets for the street. So I'm a little betwixt in between as to how she's thinking. So it's rather hypocritical of her to say one thing and do another. It's, you know, I just don't get it. Y'all help me out. Y'all are women. I'm just a straightforward man. I can't see.
I don't disagree with you. I'm just thinking that's probably what she's thinking. And then with Tiara, I would be thinking too, he's gonna get me killed.
Right.
And so he's gonna have to fend for himself, because he keeps putting me in these very untenable situations where if I want to save him, I'm gonna have to put my life on the line for him, because he doesn't know what kind of havoc he's wreaking every time he goes out and makes one of these dumb decisions. So I think it's both of those situations. She's looking out for his future and thinking maybe this will be the way that he's going to be able to provide for himself. But also, if I don't teach him, he's going to go find it another way, and he's going to get all of us killed or arrested.
Yeah, because she had. Sorry. Go ahead, Tim.
Go ahead.
I would say she had the option to send him away to her mother's house, and she didn't do that. And so that's kind of where Kanan was like, you know, either you want me here or you don't. You got to make your choice, because she keeps kind of like threatening him with, you know, being sent to grandma. But I think that she wants Kanan close. Like that's her only child, and so you have that bond. And plus, she knows. I think she wants to be able to watch over him and know what he's into. So
But
that's
she's
probably
not
why
doing
she
that.
hasn't sent him away.
She's not doing that. And just like you said, she wanted to send him away, then she didn't want to send him away. So my whole point with this is, you're the one putting Kanan at risk, because in as much as you want him to not be in the game, you're giving him all the tools necessary to be a part, not only be in the game, but to make certain accomplishments in the game as well. You should have sent him on. And whether you, I know that's your only son, but come on now, you don't run a drugstore. I mean, you are selling drugs, and you're out in the street, and you're doing something that can not only harm you, but definitely can harm him, because he's got that cloud over him as from history, from his parents. So I'm just trying to wrap my head around, what is it that you really want from Kanan? Because here's the thing. Either go all out and train him up the way he should go in the drug business, or let him go. You can't have it both ways. So my point is, if you want him close to you, and you don't, and somehow you want to teach him the game, but think you can do it in moderation, you're hurting him. Either train him up on everything, or send him to his grandma. You can't have it both ways.
I guess for me,
well, didn't Ghost and Tasha have it both ways? Because their kids were with them. I mean, they did the same thing.
And look what happened. Your son puts a bullet in his
that was exactly my
chest.
point when I was saying that about having children in this life.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's and again, you know, when we were always commenting about Ghost and and Tariq, either tell them the truth or get them out altogether, because you can't have it both ways. You can't pretend like you're a family and you're that whatever, this loving family that lives on whatever street, and you're running drugs and you're doing all these other things. You're putting them in harm's risk for what they don't know. And
I guess I would go ahead, Ron.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna, if Rock was going to introduce Kanan to the lifestyle, I was hoping that it would have been from the perspective of like a boss, like not a corner boy who's out here doing like petty weight and pushing on the corners, but from the perspective of like, this is how you run an organization. This is how you distribute, and this is the drops. I mean, I didn't want to expose him necessarily to all of the upper level people that she knows, because I guess you don't want your son being that visible. But at least discuss it with him, like lay out the monopoly board for him at home and say, this is how you move and this is how you should be operating, versus I'm gonna show you how to cook, this is how you whip it up. And I doubt that Rock will put Kanan on the corner ever voluntarily.
No. Hey.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, like, I understand, I guess I understand introducing him and trying to feed him information, but not putting him hands on. Just try to give him a upper level view of the gist of things.
But it seems like he wants that.
He
does. You would think as a parent, I think I'm with you on that. Give him the executive viewpoint, but he seems to want to be grimy. He wants to get dirty.
Yeah.
And for what we know about Kanan, he was grimy.
But you gotta
he enjoyed it.
Yeah, and you got to be careful too, because, just like Scrappy was upset at the fact that, Kanan is moving up, and he's been with the Rock for 5 years or so, and he sees Kanan trying to move, But the problem with that is, if you're going to teach him to be a manager or be the executive, then you really need him close by you. He needs to see everything you do. You can't just piecemeal it. So, and that's my point. You're really making my point. If you're going to protect him, then you really got to give him the whole scenario. Just like you said, lay out the monopoly board and let him see the whole game. You can't just keep piecemealing it, because he's the kind of guy that once he learns to cook, once he learns this, he's going to go out and get his own team. He's going to go out and get his own guy. In fact,
I just wanted to comment on that you mentioned about Scrap and him, talking with Unique and saying that Kanan skipped over him. That was he doesn't really feel that way. He had that conversation with Rock, and Rock sent him over there to infiltrate.
Absolutely sent him over there.
Yeah, I know he did, and I know why he said it. But I'm saying it, if it were to happen, what we were saying about Rock putting him in the executive slot, you're going to get that kind of feedback. So, or pushback. So, and that's all I'm saying. You're setting him up for that type of pushback. So my thing is, and yes, he should learn this. He should learn the lower half before he becomes any kind of kingpin. So, but you got to teach him. You got to teach him everything. And she's very betwixt and between here. She on one hand wants him out, but on the other hand, it's that maternal thing that she has that just has to have him close by. I'm not following it.
I mean, Unique has said this to her from the jump. You can't have somebody that you care about in this game. And he was basically pointing out to her, like, it's even more so for her because she's a woman, because Kanan came out of her body. Like, it's a different relationship. And so he was absolutely right. And I think Rock always keeps that, thought in the back of her head. But I think her maternal instinct and then her street sense is like they warring with each other. They're constantly and like combating, because she wants him around, but she doesn't want him harmed at the same time. So it's a tough spot for her to be in. And then Kanan and what landed him in the fight with Scrap in the first place, because he was so in denial about Davina when Jukebox was trying to speak some sense into him. So I was like, wow, he is really like having his rose-colored shades on.
What I tell y'all, what I say last week about the men of power, like when it comes to these women,
hey,
they can be ruthless as they want to be, but they ain't suckers for love.
Yeah, I mean, it's so obvious, because I mean, even Jukebox can figure that out, and she wasn't even there. And so I'm like, Kanan, you really gotta get your head on straight if you want to really be a name like this, because that's an obvious betrayal and you can't even see it right now.
That's probably gonna be what hardens him when he figures that out. That's gonna be what hardens him.
Yeah. Well, I
now,
mean,
do you all think that he would do something to Davina?
No, I still think he's too soft right now. I mean,
I think eventually, I think he might.
It depends. It depends if something.
If it came down.
Right. If something jumps off and his mom gets hurt and it's all because of that, yeah, I think he would. But he's so smitten by this girl. At least he could have at least listened to what Jukebox was trying to say, and put some brain matter into what she was saying. The only person that really knew about the stash house were family and Davina. And so you gotta learn math. It's simple math. And to get mad at Jukebox just because she's on your girl, come on, man. You gotta wise up. Because I certainly ain't gonna keep you alive.
But I mean, from his standpoint, I can see why he thought Scrap was a possibility, because Scrap was mysteriously, I mean, we all know Scrap was sick. He had food poisoning and stuff like that. But to him, he's like, oh, he's out on the same day that we get hit, and stuff. So I can see why he would have gone there first, even though we all know that it should have been Davina. Like, that should have crossed his mind, because he did. Go ahead.
And it's not, because it means it's his fault, right? He's making all these mistakes, and he doesn't see that he's the problem. So if it's Davina, it's his fault, because he's the one that brought her over there.
Right. All of this is his fault too, because it caused a lot of disunity, even with the brothers. Because you see, Rock went ham on Marvin. Like, I felt bad for Marvin, even though it caused him. And he brought Kanan to the stash house when he shouldn't have, and Rock specifically told him to keep Kanan away. But the way Lulu and Rock talked to him and said he ain't gonna never be, like, the way they talk. I mean, he's the oldest, but they talked to him. They really sunned him, and I was like, wow. And I was like, I wonder how that's gonna affect the relationship with the family going forward.
Well, we already seen Lulu and Marvin outside, like, physically fighting.
Lulu lost too.
That was interesting. Marvin had those hands right. He's like, I'm still big bro.
But I gotta give it to Lulu. He did some groundwork though. He was like this still. He was on the ground, but he was getting his groundwork in. But he was
trying. He was getting grounded because Marvin went to that body.
But
so it's like you said, Kanan is the source of all the tension in the group.
And again, but again, you got Kanan and Marvin. I mean, because I thought Rock was going to be more mad dog about that situation in the stash house, because literally Kanan could have had his last breath at that stash house. I mean, it just happens to be that didn't happen, but he was on his last breath at that point. And so for her to...
Marvin saved.
Marvin saved him, but I thought Rock would have been like all over Marvin for that, not just a tongue lashing. I mean, you know, Marvin could have got him killed, and he still seemed like he didn't understand. You know, he just, and like Lou said, you just keep effing up every single time. And so, what are they going to do with Marvin?
Yeah, and I think that Marvin, I think they just gonna have to keep him at bay and try to keep tabs on him at all times. Like he got to have a chaperone.
And not Kanan. Kanan is not the chaperone.
No.
And then in terms of Kanan, I think that it was just odd to me that after she found this bloody shirt and she knows that Kanan has been withholding all of this information to go and teach him how to cook crack, and it's like, well, what do you expect? You know the truth now about selling anything or whipping up some stuff?
His own shop because he that kind of kid.
Right. So I was like, I don't know, Rock. That was a little a bad judgment call, maybe, but I guess when you're doing things on the fly and you're dealing with situations as they come at you, maybe you overlook some things, but I just thought that was weird too. And
that's another thing. Instead of getting angry at Symphony for what he didn't say, you need to be more angry with your son for not telling you what's going on, what happened. You know, that's where you need to put your heat on, not Symphony. I think Symphony did what he should have done. You know,
well, at this point right now, I don't think Rock even knows about the arrest at all.
No,
so
she
there
doesn't.
is no heat to be placed on anybody.
No, I'm saying when she finds out, you know, we were talking about she would, you know, not like the fact that Symphony didn't come and say anything to her. And I'm saying, what I'm saying is, you need to spend less time worrying about what Symphony didn't say and more time about your boy, because your boy is slipping up. I mean, he's slipping up big.
Okay, absolutely.
I think she does know. I think Scrappy told her because he had already started pouring his heart out to her before she knew. So I don't think he recovered. I think he ended up telling her that whole story.
Well, yeah, because he did run up on her and he was like, I had to do it, man. There was people around. And so I'm like, and she kind of looked at him like, what we talking about right now?
I think he had to tell her for that situation to end up with him going into Neek's camp. They had a conversation. I think they had a very detailed conversation.
Too.
Right. I'm saying like that. Did he tell her that him and Kanan got in a fight? Did he tell him he was arrested? Did he tell him Kanan was arrested too? It's like, to what extent did he spill his guts? So I guess we'll figure it out eventually next week, maybe.
Yeah.
I wanted to also talk about Jukebox and her situation this week. Yeah, man.
Didn't we know that was gonna happen too? I was like, the parents gonna come in that door, come in that bedroom.
And mom was not having, I mean, she really gave her a tongue lashing.
You know, what is up with Nicole? I mean, you know, first of all, you got Jukebox up in your room, y'all getting it on, your door is unlocked, your mother has a habit of coming into your room, you know this. So what explain this to me.
Teenagers.
I was a teenager. Look here.
Lock the door.
Look, I'm getting ready to say I did some things in my mom's house, and you know, I ain't gotta bring it up now, but you know, I can tell you right now the door was locked.
Maybe she don't have a locked door because she never locks the door. So maybe there's no lock on the door, right? They're just taking chances.
There you go. So do less in your bedroom because you know your mom can come in there at any point in time. That's all. I'm sorry. You just gotta, you know, you gotta use your head. Because now, you know, her mother will never get over what she saw. And she will never accept the fact.
But then she blamed Jukebox. And she did what a lot of white parents do when they see what she said, I'm gonna call the cops and report rape. So I was like, she did the same.
No, that was I was like, wow. That was your daughter.
And her daughter instigated everything. But she saw
and even said to her,
the black girl.
And said to her mother, it's my fault. I kissed her. Her mother didn't hear that.
Yep, she did speak up.
Her mother didn't hear all that. Her mother just saw Jukebox on top of her daughter, and all she wants to do now is holler, you know, just be a Karen, and I don't know what you call this.
Yeah, she was being a Karen.
The original Karen, right?
Yeah.
And I felt bad for Jukebox because the way she was like kind of like hyperventilating, like she was devastated.
Devastated.
And
Yeah.
I felt really bad for her in that moment.
Yeah.
She was just broken.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I wonder how this shapes Jukebox going forward too. It's gonna be rough for her, and it looked like Nicole might be off limits for a while unless they sneaking around at some other location. Maybe
they probably gonna be sneaking.
Yeah, more than likely, but that's gonna be rough for her. And it seemed like what's his name, Famous, he had been hitting on her too. And so I'm wondering if Jukebox, now that Nicole is kind of like off limits to her, if she starts exploring like her sexuality with guys. I don't know. I doubt it because she doesn't seem like she's that into him. Mm-hmm. But I wonder if the situation and the way that she got torn down by Nicole's mother, if that like maybe turns her away from being interested in girls just because of the response that she got from her mother. So I don't know.
I don't think I see. I don't see that. I just see. I see her going back or being, introvert. She will go back into herself. She's not, she'll be very. You won't be able to reach her for a while. She's going to be. She's so hurt, and I think frightened as well. She's going to be missing in action for a minute. You're just not going to get much out of Jukebox at all. Go ahead, Luana.
Go ahead, Luana.
It kind of seemed like she had a reaction to where she looked at it and saw it was maybe a racial or a class issue, because it was kind of like when she walked out and she looked at the surround and how it seemed very probably unfamiliar and hostile to her. So she may not cross that line again. Maybe, maybe it almost like she was willing to explore with Nicole, yes. not just being in a relationship with her, but her world. I think that will make her less likely to kind of want to enter into that world, cross over anymore, just because of the way she was treated.
Right. And that's what I was kind of saying. Like, because Nicole was her first lesbian experience. And so it's like, was it experimental? Was she just testing the waters, or is it something that she feels like, this is who I am? Like, that's why I was kind of gauge with her, and whether she would be turned off of that lifestyle based on how she was treated. Because you know how certain people get like a bad reception or something, and they might be like, okay, well, maybe I need to, change myself. Maybe it's my fault or they might do like a lot of that self-blaming and try to go conform with, the standard or whatever the norm is.
I think if anything,
it's hard.
I think if anything, and as she was walking and saw these white couples, I think she really had begun to see that this isn't her world and she doesn't belong in it. And
that's what Luana was saying.
Yeah, and I'm in agreement with that, because to me, if she was just, almost fearful every time she saw a white couple. She just seemed to tremble in front of them. So I think what she had begun, I think what she saw with that explosiveness with Nicole's mom and all the hurtful words she said, I think that woke her up to say, this isn't your world. And, maybe you need to go find somebody else, because I'm gonna tell you, really, Nicole's not.
You put her in her place.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You were gonna say something, Luana?
Yeah, it was the whole thing with Jukebox is hard to really know about her because of the way she kind of presents. She kind of presented herself in a masculine way, but you don't know that because she's a only child being raised by her father. So you don't know if she's just a tomboy. She's only around her cousins. So it's hard to know, even just the way they showed it, what was really going for Nicole. Was it something that was already there and it was just attracted to this? They attracted to each other because they had that same kind of energy, or what? But we see later on in life that she's still having that type of relationship. So that made her think who she was. That's how I took it.
Sister she ended up with was nothing like Nicole. Like she was pretty much hood.
Exactly.
Whereas, so I can see her going, like you guys said, like saying, okay, I'm gonna stay in my lane
Right.
over here. This is who I am, yes, but these are the type of women I'm gonna date.
And I think that's why we get to cheat a little bit, because we saw her in, so we can kind of almost figure, kind of fill in the middle what this, okay, if this happened and she ended up this, we can almost kind of, you know, make some assumptions about what must have happened in between. So I don't know. I felt bad for her, because at the end of the day,
Well, look at it. But look at it this way. At least look at it this way. At least she doesn't have to eat any white people's spaghetti. So that's what I'm going to do.
Right.
Yeah. But you know, I was happy that she got her shot at the studio.
Yes.
Lulu worked that out perfectly so that she
through.
Yes, he did. I'm so happy to see that.
He was
And
paying
she
the
was in there
bills.
tearing it down, because that song sounded
sound
good.
high.
Yeah.
Even Wax Seaman sound a little better this week.
Mhm.
Because he had them ABC raps last week, but this week he sound a little better. And I attribute that mainly to Jukebox too, because Jukebox was killing.
She stepped up that song like 10 times more than what he originally had going
her
on.
voice is golden. Yeah.
I did
Yes,
like the
it
way,
is.
I like the way Lou came in paying the bills. How much you need?
Right.
Took
And I'm
over
like,
that
okay.
studio.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, Lou about to strong arm his way into taking over
Yeah,
the studio.
and look, and Jessica, she don't have no reason to try to flirt with Camacho or whatever anymore, because clearly he don't have any clout. I mean, he don't,
He don't have no money.
Yeah.
So she right where she need to be.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, Camacho lost a little bit there. I mean, if you can't pay the bills, you can forget it. So I like that move Lou made.
Well, he a cokehead, so that's probably where the money.
Probably.
It is.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, can't pay your.
What were you gonna say, Ron?
No, I was just saying you can't pay your crew, and you trying to hit up on Lou's girl. Yeah, that's gonna be a short trip for you, man. I can see you giving up on that studio altogether, because you're just gonna be a figurehead now. Lou paid everybody off.
Lou might take him out, because one of the things that me and myself were talking about is that, what's it called? Maybe he might try to end up forcing himself on Jessica. And that might force Lou's hand, and he might take Camacho out, and then he might really own the studio.
Right. Yeah. I think I said last week that I could see Lulu taking Camacho out, because he flirts a lot, and he seems like he oversteps and tries to sweet talk people the way he hasn't paid his debts to his crew and everything, and keeps pushing things off. Like he on a lot of people's bad side. Yeah. So yeah, I don't think he's gonna stick around too long on this series.
I think he's gonna make it to season 2.
Yeah. And so I want to jump into predictions a little bit, because I was thinking about Raquel and how she could she's been kind of gleaning information out of Symphony for the past couple of weeks now, since he's in urban planning and things like that. And now she has this new apartment set up where she is basically trying to use 2 apartments that are one above the other.
That's New Jack City. I was like,
yeah, it is.
Brown.
Yes, it is. And so I was like, I wonder if she has other aspirations. I wonder if that's why she's picking his brain, trying to get details into like the urban planning part of it, and trying to build her empire a little bit more based on his information and how she might involve him eventually.
I think that's a good I think that's a good prediction. Like she's a boss for sure. Because I was okay, that's smart when she was saying about the high rise. That's the same thing Nino Brown and them did when they kicked everybody out the apartments and they cooked up in there. But I like what she said to Poppy too at the bodega, because when he was tripping, she was like, no, when he tried to renegotiate, she was like, listen, we shake hands and negotiate. I mean, but to knuckle up, like you throw it.
My prediction.
So I was like, woo.
Yeah, my prediction is that Poppy is going to be out because, you know,
Poppy's gonna be gone.
yeah, he's due.
Oh yeah. I get it from the time when Rock first walked in the store and seen his wife all beat up. He liked that, and I think she took note of that. Like, okay, I see what kind of guy he is. He got his coming.
Yeah, he's going to be out soon.
Yeah, she's gonna be dealing directly with the wife.
I believe that too.
Actually, I think Rock will take over the store completely. Because I see Rock killing Poppy. He's done. I didn't like that look that he had on
Right,
his
but
face. I didn't like that look he had on his face when when she was telling him how deals work, and he keeps demanding more money. Does he not know who he's talking to? And so
I think he's trying to strong arm her because she's a woman.
Yeah, but that's
like he at first when they were making the negotiation, he was trying to talk to Lulu, and Lulu was like, "You need to be talking to her."
Right.
So he keeps trying to overstep her, like usurp her authority.
And that's the biggest mistake.
But she has Marvin handling the store, so yeah. Because I was like, she may sick Marvin on it. Marvin might be the one to take him out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he'd be happy to do
it. Yeah. You guys got any other predictions that you see? I know we've called out several of them, but any other ones that you can think of? I was thinking in terms of Unique and with Scrap. I wonder if Unique is. I don't think he's that stupid that he would just let somebody from Rock's team infiltrate.
We here, T. I was like, I think he know what's up. Scrap will end up getting
I think
killed.
so too.
Yeah, I
really don't think that Unique is that naive to think that he would just swap sides.
Nope.
Like
I think Unique is smart.
Yeah, he even asked him, you've been with Rock for a while. All of a sudden you just jumping over here. No, that don't happen. It just doesn't happen.
And we just talking about that Godfather.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you guys don't have any other predictions to throw out there, I think we'll wrap it up. I just want to say thank you to all for watching. We definitely appreciate you all. Make sure you drop down in the comments and give us your predictions and your comments on this episode. Let us know if you liked it. Let us know didn't like what you might see coming. This is episode 5, so it ramps up from here. I think it's only up. Make sure that you also subscribe to our channel, click the like button and the notification bell so that you get alerted every time we post a video. We're also at The Spot Real Talk on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, so be sure to give us a follow there as well. You guys got anything else you want to add before we shut it down?
That's it.
Nope.
That's it.
All right, that's it. Well, I think we're going to call it a night. Thanks for watching, you guys, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
The sun is going down now. Been at it for a while, and I have had enough of this. I doubt that we can solve it. Been trying for so long, and I just can't ignore that it won't ever be the same. No, we will never be that good again. Don't drag it out, skip the innocence. Things will never be the same.